Everyone is wrong about paying off debt fast. This simple shift can speed up your payoff dramatically this year. Welcome to Money Clarity Hub. This belief misled many people. Paying minimums each month keeps debt under control. No, it doesn't. Instead, it quietly stretches your timeline and increases the total you will repay. Minimum payments are designed to keep you paying longer, not to help you exit faster. The system works against you when your strategy stays passive. Every month you follow the minimum path. Interest compounds across multiple balances and eats into your effort. That is why progress feels slow even when you stay consistent. Debt is not just a balance on a screen, it is a pattern that repeats through your monthly decisions. When that pattern stays unchanged, your results stay unchanged as well. Most people focus on how much they owe and feel overwhelmed by the total. The real leverage comes from deciding how your money is applied each month. When your payments are spread evenly across all debts, none of them move meaningfully. That is why everything feels stuck despite regular effort. You are not failing because you lack discipline or income. You are failing because your payments are scattered instead of focused. Once you recognize that pattern, the next step becomes easier to spot. You stop dividing your effort and begin concentrating it on a single target. This is where the shift happens from passive paying to active reduction. You choose one debt and direct all extra money toward it while keeping others at minimums. That focused pressure creates visible movement in one place instead of tiny changes everywhere. Visible movement keeps you engaged and consistent. There are two ways to pick your target, and both are effective when applied consistently. The difference lies in whether you prioritize motivation or cost reduction. The snowball method starts with the smallest balance so you can clear it quickly and build momentum. The avalanche method targets the highest interest rate so you reduce the total cost faster. Both paths lead forward, but mixing them breaks your rhythm and slows your progress. Consistency matters more than perfection in this phase. Now that the structure is clear, the next layer becomes practical. You list every debt with its balance, interest rate, and minimum payment so nothing stays hidden. Seeing everything in one place removes confusion and replaces it with direction. Direction turns effort into results. With that clarity, you channel every extra dollar toward your chosen debt. That creates a clear path instead of a scattered approach. At the same time, you maintain minimum payments on all other balances to keep them stable. Stability prevents new problems while you solve the main one. As the target balance starts dropping faster, your perception of progress changes. You begin to see movement instead of waiting for it. That visible reduction builds momentum in a way small scattered payments never could. Momentum is what keeps you moving through difficult phases. However, most people hit a barrier here because they do not create additional capacity. Without extra money, acceleration stays limited. You cannot expect faster results while keeping the same spending habits. Change in speed requires change in allocation. Look at your recent transactions with a clear eye and identify repeated expenses that offer little value. These patterns reveal where your money is quietly leaking. Those small recurring decisions matter more than large occasional purchases because they repeat frequently. Repetition is what drains your progress. You are not cutting everything out of your life, you are removing what adds no real value. That distinction makes the process sustainable. When you remove those leaks, you free up money that can be redirected toward your target debt. Redirection is what turns savings into acceleration. Each dollar you redirect increases the pressure on that balance and shortens your timeline. Pressure is what creates speed. Now something important becomes visible as your payments become intentional. You are no longer reacting to bills, you are controlling outcomes. This is where the plan becomes real rather than theoretical. Your actions start aligning with a clear goal. But there is another lever that changes your trajectory even faster when used correctly. That lever is temporary income expansion. Reducing expenses creates space, while increasing income adds force to your progress in a way that compounds quickly. When both are combined, the effect becomes noticeable. This does not require permanent lifestyle changes, but it does require short bursts of focused effort. Even a few weeks of additional income can eliminate a balance entirely. When one debt disappears, your available money increases instantly because its minimum payment is freed up. That freed amount becomes additional pressure on the next target. Now your system begins to compound in your favor instead of against you. Each cleared debt increases your speed for the next one. As this cycle continues, your confidence grows alongside your progress. Confidence changes how you approach the process. Instead of hoping for improvement, you start expecting results from your actions. That expectation reinforces consistency. Now that you understand how momentum builds, the next shift becomes necessary. You begin protecting your progress from anything that could reverse it. New debt becomes the biggest threat at this stage because it interrupts your momentum immediately. Even small balances can slow your progress significantly. You reduce casual credit usage because convenience often leads back into old habits. Awareness helps you pause before acting. This is where discipline becomes visible in everyday behavior rather than large decisions. Small choices define your trajectory. You start noticing when the urge to spend appears and what triggers it in your routine. That awareness gives you control over the moment. Instead of reacting automatically, you create a pause that allows a different decision to happen. That pause protects your progress. Now your behavior begins aligning with your goal in a consistent way. Alignment reduces internal friction. When your actions support your objective, the process feels smoother and less forced. Smooth processes are easier to maintain. Your environment also plays a role in how easily you follow through with your plan. Exposure to constant spending triggers increases the chance of slipping back. You reduce those triggers by limiting exposure to promotions and impulse-driven platforms. This simplifies your decision-making process. You are not relying on willpower alone. You are shaping conditions that support better choices. Better conditions lead to consistent behavior. As consistency builds, your results become more predictable and less stressful. Predictability reduces emotional pressure. Now your milestones arrive faster, and each one reinforces your commitment to the process. Progress becomes tangible rather than abstract. However, there is a critical phase where many people lose momentum. It appears when things start to feel easier. As balances shrink, urgency fades, and effort often decreases without being noticed. That subtle shift slows progress. When progress slows, the system loses its compounding effect. That is why many people stall before finishing. This is where maintaining pressure becomes essential even when it feels less necessary. Consistency protects your trajectory. You continue directing focused payments even after early wins, because that is what sustains momentum. Sustained momentum leads to completion. Now, a deeper realization forms as your approach evolves. Debt is not just a financial issue, it is a behavioral pattern. It was created through repeated decisions, and it will be removed the same way, because repetition works in both directions. Each payment you make reinforces a new pattern of control rather than reaction. That shift changes your relationship with money. You begin to recognize the triggers that previously led to unnecessary spending and delayed payments. Awareness replaces autopilot. When you see those triggers clearly, you are no longer controlled by them in the same way. Control shifts back to you. Instead of just managing debt, you are actively removing it with intention and structure. That difference changes outcomes. You thought the main problem was the total amount you owed, but the real issue was how your effort was distributed. Distribution defines results. You believed time was the key factor, but direction turned out to be more important than time. Direction accelerates everything. And here is the uncomfortable truth that becomes clear at the end. You were never stuck because your debt was too large. You were stuck because your effort was spread too thin to make any real impact. When pressure builds, you instinctively divide your payments instead of concentrating them. That scattered reaction is exactly what kept you in debt longer than necessary. Thanks for watching Money Clarity Hub. Subscribe for more weekly insights and explore the video playlists.